What's going on, everybody? Jade up here, and today's video is going to be over the positioning guide for all the bosses and veteran halls of fabrication. And without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. As you can see, they have like a shock beam going to one another. Basically, what that does is empowers them. So every attack that they do, they're going to deal more damage. So what we're going to do, this is basically all these boss fights are going to be for speed run. Just keep that in mind. If you do not have enough damage in this trial or just in your group in general, do not suggest not to do this, and I'll go over a different way that you can do this fight. Basically, what we're going to do is everybody's going to be stacked up behind the boss like so, and then I'm going to have a healer behind me, and I'm going to position myself in this little crate like area. As you can see, he keeps swiping his tail at the healer and sending out these little shock balls or AoEs type things. Basically, what they do is when they get sent out, they will stun you if you do not block them. So just keep that in mind. Those little ground AoEs, those little shock AoEs, basically what they do, they're placed underneath the tank, and they do a crazy amount of damage. The longer you stay in it, the more damage you're going to take. So just keep that in mind. As you can see, when he raises his neck up in the air, Negatrix or Positrix, either one, they'll call in their little shocks. That's what we call them. So those are the ads, the shock ads. So basically, we just say shocks are coming. And basically, you want to do as a tank, you want to talons those in as quickly as possible, and that way it locks them in place, and they can get AOE down, and they can't do as much damage. Now the attack that he just did, where he jumped at me and kind of knocked him back, that's what we just call the jump mechanic, whatever it's called. Basically, jumps on top of you. If you're not blocking, he will continue. He will stun you and then continue to feed on you and still do damage to you. So somebody needs to interrupt that or bash that if that happens. Now, in this part here, basically what you're doing is you're just keeping the boss in one spot. Once one of the bosses dies, all those spheres will enrage. If all spheres are up, they will enrage. So just kind of keep that in mind. Now, another way that you could do this boss fight is you can take all the DPS in the center and then split the bosses up and just tether the bosses over the ads, because once the spheres pop up, they do have a shield on them, and you have to tether them with the with the Positrix and Negatrix. So you have to tether them, and what that does is it breaks the shield from those spheres, and that way you can easily damage them and kill those spheres. If you don't kill them, what they do is they'll enrage. Like I said earlier, if there's all of them are up or one of the boss dies, they do apply a poison dot on you. So just purge every few seconds. Okay, and now we're going into the second boss. Now this one has quite a bit of mechanics, so we're just gonna kind of run through them pretty quickly. Basically, what you can do is positioning this boss is just keep him in the center, and he's gonna do some attacks that may have him move. Now this attack here, you want to call that out. When he starts winding up his staff like that, you want to call out, get ready to block, and then block, or just say block now or something like that as soon as he hits you. So that way the DPS blocks and they don't get stunned. As you can see, those shock orbs, those stun as well. Now you're also going to get these steamers, which are the Centurions. Just taunt them and bring them into the fight on top of the main boss. Now you're gonna get these shades, as you can see, right before he spawns. He's gonna have like a little mist right in his chest area. That's how you know which one you want to block. If you're not experienced and your group is not experienced at this part, what you want to do is have everyone just face one direction, and then you only block the north. So like say everybody's south side, then you will only block the north sides. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. You only block the two most north shades, and everyone else will be south. Now, what else he's going to do is he's going to do a knockback attack, which is like a cone like attack. He's going to hit somebody randomly, and there'll be a cone. Just dodge roll out of it if you're a DPS, and then you're good to go. Like you just did here. Now there are going to be a lot of sparkles that come down like AoEs, just kind of spread out when they start falling down. If you don't, you will get destroyed by them. As a tank, I'm getting guarded, and if I get hit for more than 4 or 5 of them, I just get absolutely destroyed. He also spawns a little shard at the very back. Basically, you want to send like 2 or 3 people to go kill those. What they do is they drain your resources, and they're pretty annoying, especially when you start getting low on health, because they do a little bit of damage. As you can see in the far back, the off tank, basically what he's doing, he or she is doing, is grabbing the spinner, which you'll be able to see. As you can see right there in the back, he has his arms going. Those means that those are shocked spinners. Basically, they spin around and do a bunch of damage. They will eventually die by themselves, so you don't really have to worry about them. You just gotta taunt them as the off tank and run them around the outside and try, or just away from the group. So as you can see, I'm just trying to stay in one spot as possible. You basically, if the boss teleports to one spot, you want to keep him as close to wherever he teleported to, so that way the dots continue to tick on the boss. As a spinner comes into the group, you don't overreact. If you have magma, you could pop it, or you could just trust that your off tank is going to get it again. Now we're getting ready to end it, and that's really about it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, definitely feel free to leave them down in the comment sections below as we start to the next boss. Now keep in mind that you will have to send 4 DPS up to the very top. Basically what's going to happen is you'll send 4 DPS up to the top, and there'll be 4 spheres. One person will get tethered with an electric shock, and basically you tether that on top of the sphere. That will knock the shield off the sphere, and then you just go ahead and DPS it. You do that all the way around, kill all 4. The 4 people go back to their levers where they spawn from, and then that will and then you pull the levers all at once, and that will stop his one shot from happening. So now we're on the spider boss, and this one's pretty easy for the most part. As you can see right now, the reason why I'm sitting here keeping the crusher uptime up is because I have crusher on both of my bars, my sorting board and my lightning staff bar. So that way we have a crusher up quite a bit. So on this one, as you can see to the right, there's this beam in front of us, and then that's what stops the boss to be able to damage it. There's a lever to the right of that, and you just pull that. The off tank will pull that, and that tethers the entire boss. Now what you're going to do as a main tank, you're going to taunt those 2 adds, and then you're going to run all the way to where I am now, basically where the line starts to bend to go to the next hallway over, right? So you're just going to taunt him here. Everybody's going to DPS him. If you see that ad that has like a little glowy red thing around him, that means that if you hit him with a spell projectile or any projectile, it'll bounce back to you. Now what you're going to do once the boss is down, you're going to pull the ads right back to the boss so they get cleaved down. And if you can, try and put them like right inside of the boss so they get the most cleaved onto them. Well, after a while, roughly about 15 seconds or so, you want to start heading back. Maybe even 10 seconds. You want to head back to grab the other 2 ads, because every time you pull the lever, an ad will spawn. Or 2 ads will spawn, and it could be a mixture of 2. It could be two-handers or 2 dual wields. It is totally random. But that is basically how you do that. It's pretty simple. If you have any questions about that one, obviously leave in the comment sections below, and I will try to respond as quick as possible. Okay, now we're going into the triplets here soon, which is probably one of the hardest bosses in this trial, which you have the Reclaimer, Reducer, and Reactor. Now, they all have their own mechanics and their own things that they do, but I'll go ahead and give you the percentages now, just in case you're wondering. 72% is usually when we stop DPSing the ads, because then they go into an overrage, basically empowered. They go into empowered where all their damages deal a lot of damage. And so we stop at 72%, then we bring them into the Reclaimer, which is the one in the center, and then we just AoE them down. They all get stunned and they reset. So they also do tether, and the tethers do empower each other. So if the reducer, the boss that I'm on, is tethered to the reclaimer, which is in the center, they're tethered. Any of the damages or anything that those two bosses do will be empowered, and they will do a crap ton of damage and will potentially kill DPS basically in a one shot. Now, the Reclaimer, what he'll do, as you can see in the center, he's already pushed too far, so he enrages. So now every attack that he does is going to do more damage. What he also does is spawn adds. As you can see, his ads that'll start spawning from the outside, running to him. And what he does is he spawns the ads and then puts an electric field around him, which when the ads reach him, they will be charged and then run towards a random player and then explode and deal a ton of damage. So you want to try and focus those ads as quickly as possible. As far as positioning the reducer and the reactor, you want to kind of be, as you can see, the little hill on the left side. That's where you kind of want to be, exactly where I'm at. It's a little bit easier to swap bosses on that point. If you ever see the bosses tether when you go to exchange them, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to move your boss away from the other. Now, what the reactor does is he does traps, that's what we just call them. He sends out traps all over the place. If you get stuck inside of them, it'll pull you down where you can't do anything. It's kind of like a stun, and the only way to get out of it is to break free from that. And now the best time to swap bosses, and as you can see, we're swapping bosses all the time. Basically, the best way to see it, if you are new to this or really don't know how, what you're going to do is you're going to taunt your boss. So I'm taunting the reducer. And then I'm going to do nothing but really look at the reactor. So when I know that we need to transfer, or excuse me, not transfer, but exchange bosses, is when there's a electric AOE. As you can see, there's AOE, or there's a little ball going on top of us. So I have the reactor, little lightning ball is hitting me, and then on the reducer, a little fireball is hitting the other tank. That's how you know you want to exchange bosses. Once you hit 10 charges of that, you will die as a tank. So you want to kind of swap, at the same time. You want to be on the same page as that. So the best way to do that is, the only time that I really like to swap is when they're heavy attacking like they are now. They heavy attack, they're stunned for a little bit, walk to the other side of the boss, taunt the boss, and good to go. My tank did not taunt the boss in time, so that's how I ended up dying. And that's how easy it is for you to die. So I just wanted to kind of add that into the clip so you guys could see. Now, if you do die, it's extremely easy to recover, because all you have to do as a DPS is really just dodge this heavy attack, and that's all you have to do. Now, once you bring them in, you want to try and position them so that they're literally like almost on top of the reclaimer, so that the cleave damage is like almost like this, like it just melts them. You know what I mean? The closer the ads are, the better the cleave damage can be. You know what I mean? So once we hit 25%, what we like to do is we like to keep the reactor in with the reclaimer, and then bring the reducer out. The reducer does the fire damage, and it can absolutely destroy the entire team if they're tethered for too long. So if you tethered them and they're tethered for about 10 seconds, that's when damage starts really getting put out. Once you hit execute, just bring him in and just DPS him there. He will start to spawn ads from the outside, and they will spawn and then just start to explode. That's how you know you'll start execute. Hopefully that helped you a little bit with some of the mechanics, when to transfer or when to swap bosses and taunts and stuff like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and go into the AG, which is the Assembly General. As you can see, we're doing the trench strat where we're all in the trench. When he slams that foot down, the right foot, if you're looking at him, the right foot, he slams that foot down. What that does is that'll knock that'll knock you in the backwards and stun you. You can activate Purge to activate an Alkosh proc, which is super nice. But once the left arm is down, he'll spawn an ad on top of the left side, and then once the other arm is down, the other ad will spawn on the left side, and on the right side, two capacitors will spawn. And basically, the off tank will stack them on top of the Centurion here, which is the little sphere. You stack them there, do all your kind of DPS, drop ultis, whatever you got to do to drop it here. And then you'll send like about 3 people, 3 or 4 people to the other side, and then DPS those ads. Basically, what you would send is the top healer and the off tank to the other side, and 2 DPS, and you should be enough to kill those Centurions. And then once those 2 are down, you're going to get hit with the ball of electricity from the boss, and that'll do some damage, but it shouldn't kill you if you have your CP correctly. Now, if you see his left foot stomp, basically what that's going to do is going to send out three little lines of shock damage. It's not really too much to worry about unless you're low on health. It doesn't do a lot of damage. If you go behind the boss, as you can see, there's some greenish poison damage back there, and that will kill you. It does about 5k damage to you. Now, this attack here where he punches me all the way backwards, basically what you want to do is you want to dodge roll the next 4 stomps of his right foot, because what it does is it basically fractures your armor, so you're going to take more damage. Now, once you get knocked back, you want to use shield charge to get back to the boss immediately. So that way he doesn't stop. He'll jump in the air. So if he jumps in the air 3 times before you get back to him while you have him taunted, he will kill the entire group. It'll turn into a one-shot mechanic. Now, once you kill both of the Centurions that spawn, or the terminals, excuse me, the terminals. Once you kill 2 of the terminals, you can just go to the center, wait for him to spawn up, and then start DPSing them again. This is how you do the trench stat, more or less. So the skills I'll be using that really help out the group is obviously shield charge to get back to him as soon as he punches me backwards. Igneous shields is really nice. Just try and pop that every 6 seconds or so. And then the other ones is going to be circle protection. You definitely want to have that down to kind of help mitigate some damage. When a dual wield spawns like that underneath the feet, you want to call that out immediately, and everyone needs to focus him because he does do a lot of damage, and when the dual wield does a spin attack, it can kill some of the DPS. Now, as you can see, he's walking back, and then we have these 2 ads, and make sure that you throw down that circle protection right there, right where all the allies are, and call out steam whenever it happens. So like if one of the steamers the 2-handers are facing towards the group and he's about to steam, basically what he does is it looks like he takes a deep breath and raises his sword up to like the right of him, and then puts a cone away AoE in front of him, and then that's the steam mechanic. So you want to call that out. And if the capacitor is just kind of out of range, basically you just want to try and move them to the center, and you'll be fine. Then just have everyone kill that ad before the boss spawns. And as far as positioning goes, there's not much really to do on this boss. Stay in the center and just kind of hang out. Just keep your debuffs going, keep your circle protection down, keep taunt on the ads when they do spawn, and just try and keep that Alkosh going. If there's any other ad that really spawns, none of them are really too crazy to worry about. The only one you really need to worry about is that 2-hander, or the dual wield, because he does do quite a bit of damage and he can kill a lot of DPS if they're not paying attention. Now we're going into execute at 25%. Basically what you want to do as a main tank is you want to lay down circle protection here, right where I'm at, and grab the 2-handers that spawn. And there's going to be 2 every time. If you do have additional ads, Just try and grab all the melee what you can, and the only time you really need to hold block is when they do a steam attack and or when they do their heavy attack that knocks you back in the air. The entire time you're just going to stand here, keep taunt on the boss to keep that major fracture up going, and then keep the heroic slash going when you go and igneous shields, and then try and hit them with a lightning wall. That way, you can try and get them knocked off balance. Other than that, I hope this video has helped. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down in the comment section below. If you liked the video, like it. If you didn't, dislike it. Whatever. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video.